This video uses the demo version of the System 89 program to show the basic operation of the user interface and how the shot simulator can be used to explore the effects of various setup errors. So I'm going to open up the demo version of the System 89 program. The interface is identical to that of the functional version of the program. The difference here is that we have a shot simulator that allows us to go through an entire test scenario and fire shots and explore to see what changes in these parameters will do for us. So we see up here, we'll just go through these parameters. You have your test name. So here's where you'd give it the name of the file for your test. And we have a location and operator, which are optional. The test date is going to get set automatically. Temperature, barometric pressure, altitude, humidity, wind speed, wind direction, and your drag function that you're going to test with. Down here we see the folder for the test files, for the report, and for the exported data. And we have a note down here. For the gun unit, the serial numbers will fill in automatically. And we have a signal level. This is how sensitive the sky screens are at the gun unit. There's more detail in the user manual on that. This is the distance between the screen A and the screen C. The screen B is halfway between the screen A and screen C. Over here we have the target unit. You can select the target that you're going to use. I'm going to use the square target. The size of the target. Signal level. This is the sensitivity of the microphones. And the range from screen A to the target. So I'm going to go ahead and start a test. Click on the test button. This opens up the testing window. And we have the interface here that we can see looks identical to the functional program, except we have a shot simulator button, which I'll open up. So here we have the values that we entered on the original screen, the main screen, and these are going to be used to solve the shot, but we have the same set of values over here that we use to generate the shot. We can change these so that we can get an idea of how these different parameters affect the actual solving of the shot. So I'm just going to fire a couple shots here. You can see we're getting differences in the muzzle velocity. That's because we're introducing random values over here. If I set these all to 0, take all the random noise out, then when I fire, I'll get the same exact value time after time. The other thing we can do here is we can clear the shots so that we can start over. So this shows the position on the target where we're going to want our shots to land. And so we're on a square target, so the very middle of the square is 0, 0. So if I say I want my shots to land, let's say 12 inches, and that's to the right, horizontal, and let's say we want to go down -10 inches. And so that's where all my shots will land, especially now that I don't have any random numbers here. So I'm going to move the simulator over here a little bit so we can look at our horizontal and vertical locations. And as I fire some shots, you'll see they all land perfectly at the same location. If I open up the target, you can see here I'm off to the horizon by 12 inches to the right, and I'm down from the center point here. If I pause over this, it shows me where my group center is. I can also blow up and look at just the center. There's no variation, so all my shots are in the exact same location. Now we'll go in and clear these shots that I had. Let's click clear. And we'll put some random variation into the microphone times, simulating a real-world condition. And I'll fire some more shots. Move this out of the way. Now you can see we're getting a spread here. And we can see they're still centered in this location. So the group center is very close to where I wanted to position them. But the actual group size is different. Once again, the X is the center of the group. And another thing you can do here is you can go to a smaller size. You can see more of your screen here. If I click on a bullet hole, that shot will highlight up here. If I click on a line up here, that bullet hole will highlight down here. So you can always find which bullet hole goes with which line up here. And I'll just close this for now. So let's say that I'm going to clear these shots out. Let's say that I want to figure out how sensitive different parameters are. So I'm going to zero out the random variation here on the microphones. Remember, we're getting perfect shots now. So I'll put one of those up. And I'm going to say that my yardage is off. We're going to solve as if the range from screen A to the target is 1,050 yards, and I'm going to be off by 1 yard. And so now I can fire a shot, and you can see the effect that it had. So time of flight has changed, and the BC has changed, and the velocity at the target has changed. The horizontal and vertical won't change because we're solving for that location. We're generating time so that the solution will come out at this location. So I'm going to go back to the exact value here. I'll fire one more shot. You can see we're back to the same thing that we started out with. Now I'm going to vary the temperature. I'm going to say it's a couple degrees, 20 degrees warmer than I've indicated when I set up. And so when I fire a shot here, you'll see that the BC changed quite a bit, time of flight changed, even our location changed, because this is an acoustic target and temperature changes the speed of sound. And so we told it was going to be 59 degrees, but we actually generated the shot as if it was 79 degrees. And so what would have been a shot in this location solved for a different location. So that's one of the reasons why temperature is very important when you're setting up and shooting, that you keep track of temperature changes, because if you're using an acoustic target, you're not only changing the density of the air, but you're changing the speed of sound, which with an acoustic target, that's very critical. And so that's a good indication of what that temperature can do for you here. But you can also go and experiment with barometric pressure, altitude, humidity, wind speed, and direction. You can even solve with a different drag function and see what kind of effect that has. Errors in your screen distance and the size of your target. And you can put in some random values here for, let's say, our muzzle velocity is going to vary by 30 feet per second, and we'll have a ballistic coefficient that varies by a couple percent here, maybe 10% or 5%, whichever. And then we can fire shots, and then we can watch and see what kind of variation we're getting here and how the statistics comes out down here. Also, we can fire whole groups of shots. We just bring our drop list down here. I can fire 25 shots just by clicking the button now. There's 25 shots. We can bring up our target, and we don't have any variation because we don't have any temperature variation, and we don't have any microphone variation. But we do have variation in our muzzle velocity and our time of flight and our ballistic coefficient. And so this gives an easy way to experiment with setting up shots. So now we also have the ability to omit shots. If you said, well, I didn't like this shot, you can come up to omit, click on it, and you'll see it changes in the summary here. I can put it back in, and you can see the summary updates instantly, other shots. And so your omissions and restores will be saved when you save the test. But you can change those later on if you have reason to do so. Up here, of course, we've seen the target. You got your different sizes that you can do. If you're on the full screen here, you can get this all spread out nice. And we have a printout, and you can send it right to the printer, or you can do a preview. Here's your report, and you can see we have a title up here at the top. You can change that under options. You can do report title, set this to whatever you want it to be. You can update the note that you originally entered on the setup screen. You can change that. Click save and just cancel it. And we have our help. So now when I click end test, it will save this test. And we can replay that test again immediately just by saying replay current test. Comes up. I can look at something, decide if I want to omit the shot, make a note change. Same thing, that'll all be saved when I click end test. Or I can go back later, and if I have a different test, and replay it, bring that up, look at that, and replay, go back to the test that we just did. And so here's the other thing that we can do is if we have a question about a particular shot, we can, I'll do that again, we can double click on it. Brings up the shot diagnostic. This will give us the times, the event times. So screen A, this is the seconds from midnight that it triggered. And screen B and screen C are all relative to this. Here's your microphone trigger times. You can also bring up an event viewer. You have a time scale down at the bottom, and you can scroll out. Here's at our gun unit, screen A, B, and C. The red tick shows the selected time. And you can click on that, and it'll tell you where that information is in the Excel file. And I could deselect it if I wanted to. And if I'll do that as an example here. And if for some reason it didn't get selected, you can come in here and manually select it. So if I want to see my target times, I can scroll out in time. Here I'm out at 1 second in time, because this is in milliseconds. So here we are out at the target, and we're out 1,050 yards. And you can see they're not in a straight line because the shot wasn't in the exact center of the target. So you can see that here, and once again you can click on them, it'll tell you what's going on here. And so that's just an added feature that you can get a close view of the events and see what's going on. If you have a problematic shot, you can decide if you want to keep that, or if it looks like it's a bad shot for some reason, you can just omit it. And so we're going to go ahead and look at the user interface up here and go through those next. So let's go ahead and start with setup, and I'm going to do load. And out here I have my tests that I've done, and maybe I don't remember exactly what I did. These could be years old. I can load a test in, and then I can see the note and see what I was doing here, what kind of conditions I had, and maybe I want to continue on with something similar to this particular test that I did prior, and I can go ahead and make changes. Or this could even be a test I did earlier in the morning, and I come back and I want to continue on, and the temperature has changed a little bit, and the wind is picked up, and the direction has changed a bit, so I can make those changes. And if I come up here and click test, it's going to object because this file already exists, and I don't want to do a new test over an existing test. And I'm going to click OK. So normally you would just click next and it'll increment this number here, but I've made changes, so it's going to warn me, oh, you've made changes to that, do you want to save them? In this case, no, it was a mistake, I just wanted to make changes for the next test, so I just click no. And now we're incremented and we're ready to go, and we can start another test. Now just go ahead and do that and do a quick fire a few shots here and close that, save the test. And of course we've seen the replay before. There's my new group of tests, or a new test there. and I can replay it and close that down. So we'll go back over here to save. So if I wanted to make another change here, if I forgot to do something with a note and I wanted to add that to the test, I can go ahead and click save after I've made that change. Or maybe I want to change the name of the test to something different, I can do that. And so we have here our new load. So this is going to bring up my default load. So I might want to say, well, I don't like that default. I want to set it up for some other location that's at a higher altitude, and maybe I don't have as much room there, and so this is going to be 800 yards. Maybe I don't like the screen spacing, and I can set that up, and I can change a note down here. I can change the default name to whatever I want, and I want to make that my default. So I come in and I click set current setup as default, and now that becomes my default. So if I go and I replay a test, previous test that we did, come back and I want to get back to my default setup, I can just say new load. Here you can see we bring up the changes I just made, and we can also use an existing test as the beginning of a setup. So once again, maybe we do that, and maybe I've got different ammunition here and conditions and stuff, so I can reuse setups that I've had for similar rifles and ammunition, or I can go back to my new. So that's what all these choices do for us here. It gives us a lot of versatility. So we've seen what the test button does. We see what the replay button does. So in here we have options. So we can do English metric units. So I can change to metric. I can change back to English. There's more information about how this affects other people that you might be sharing test files with in the user instructions. This option changes whether you want to show reduced accuracy when we use the flyover target. It's a line target, and so you can have that checked or not. And here we can change some of the options on the testing display. And in the outdoors, if it's bright out, a black and white might work better. You can also change the font size, different choices here. And then we have our proof screens, and you want to normally have this checked. The only time you would not have it checked is if for some reason you only have 2 working screens. You could uncheck this and you could continue doing testing with just 2 screens. Without the proof screen, you won't know for sure if you got a good muzzle velocity, but at least you still could do some testing. Under tools, we have options that deal with the radio, like the radio check. In the demo version, you're going to note that it doesn't function. Same thing for unit registration. And then of course we have our help. You can open up your manual. And so that shows you what these all options do. Down here we have these little folder icons where you can open up and change the location that you want to do for where your tests are stored. And same idea for reports and for your exported Excel data. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up File Explorer here, and we can see in our test files, this is where our tests are located, and the reports that we've done. So we did this one earlier. I can double click on that and open up the PDF for that particular test that we did, and we can see it here. And in our data export, we have Excel files. These are different than the testing file. The data has been sanitized, so instead of seeing seconds from midnight, they're relative to the shot, to the screen A, and we have a more refined output here, something you could share with a customer or friend, and they'll have this EXP, the test name with the EXP appended to the end of it here, so you can tell the difference between them. So that gives you the file structure. And we've seen this is the new test, and so that's a pretty good overview of the user interface and the function of it. And next, I'll demonstrate testing using the regular System 89 program. So I'm going to close the demo version and open that program. I'm going to use a laboratory firing simulator connected to the System 89 controllers to generate shot data, just as you would in the field, except you wouldn't be using a firing simulator. So I've set up what I need here to work with the firing simulator. I have some lower signal values and some real small sizes for the target and a short distance here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on test here and start a test. So I have my 2 units on over here, and you'll see the stage of synchronization and when it's working, what it's doing over here. And now it's synchronized and we're ready to fire a shot. So I'm going to do that, and it'll go to working, and you'll see over here we're doing some fast sync, downloading, clearing, synchronizing units again. It's getting ready for the next shot. I'm going to do another shot. And we'll be ready here shortly. There we are. So you have your signal levels, you can keep track of that. You have your battery voltage of the target unit, so you can keep track of that while you're shooting. So if you come in here and you want to do something besides shooting, like you want to open the diagnostic for this shot, you'll see it goes to working. Whenever you have one of these windows open, it'll go to working. As soon as you close it, it'll start syncing again. It'll get back to ready. I'm going to fire a shot. Goes to working. Same thing if you open up your note, it'll go to working, close it, it'll go back and synchronize. We want to make sure that the 2 units are synchronized before we fire a shot. Now if you're shooting a lot of shots and you want to see a host more of them, you can use this chevron to close your summary panel, but you can still see and keep track of the operation of your units down here. I'll fire a shot. And you can see that works just fine. You also have a chevron here where you can open up and see some other buttons. If for some reason you want to delay firing, you can stop your units. There's really no reason to do that except maybe you don't want the flashing lights. The units are not off, they're just in standby. And later on, if you want to fire some more shots, you can just click restart units. And it'll just go through the steps it needs to synchronize the units again. And we're ready for another shot. So I'm just going to go ahead and end the simulation here. Now you know what to expect when testing, how the units synchronize, and that you must wait for the ready condition before shooting. So I hope you found that video informative, and thank you for watching.